Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm really excited about today's video. I'm going to be talking about the 5 pieces of clothing that I will most likely never get rid of. These are pieces of clothing that I've had some for longer than others, upwards of I think close to 7 years now is one of them, but it's just clothing items that I love deeply and dearly. I've had them for so long now that they carry some value of sentiment to me as well, and I just wear them over and over and over again, and I find it so easy to style them. So yeah, I'm really excited to take you guys through that today. So some of the items that I'm going to be talking about today are thrifted, and some items I bought new from fast fashion brands. And I think that that's a really important distinction to make today, just to kind of maybe lay my opinion out on the table. I don't think that avoiding fast fashion is plausible for the average person. As much as I believe in shopping sustainably, going for secondhand, over new, going for local brands, instead of going for like big fast fashion conglomerates, there's still something to say about how accessible those things are, meaning buying secondhand and buying small brands. It's not always accessible to everybody. Even I find that a lot of local brands that really preach sustainability and do really good things are a little bit outside of my price point for most things, which is really unfortunate because they make amazing things. It's just that it's not that accessible yet, especially with the way that the cost of living crisis is looking right now. So the same can be said about thrifting. There's just some things about resellers, sometimes overpricing items quite a bit, that just pushes it out of it gets to a price point where you might as well buy new if that's how much it's going to cost. Same goes with whether or not it's accessible. Like truly cheap, well-priced thrift stores are quite difficult to come by in South Africa. At least that's from my experience. It's taken me quite some years. Even in the 3 years that I've been living in Cape Town, I haven't been able to find quality, low-priced thrift stores. So I tend to go to resellers. I buy off of resellers on Instagram. There's quite a few really well-known thrift stores in Observatory, in like one road in Main Road, that I know that a lot of people in Cape Town will preach about. Anyway, besides all of that, let's get into my 5 favorite clothing items. Okay, so as much as these are in no particular order of favorite to least favorite, I might just be starting with my absolute favorite piece, which is this black vintage long dress with red and white flowers on them. This dress I thrifted in 2016, I believe. I was actually on holiday in Cape Town with my family quite some years before I actually moved here, and we just found this thrift store. I have no idea if it's still there. I believe it was on Long Street, and I just absolutely fell in love with this dress. It had actually been tailored a little bit, so the straps had been shortened, and I think that the bust had been tightened a little bit. So when I originally bought it, the straps were actually too short for me, and I then realized once I'd taken it home that I could just undo that. So I did undo that, and it fit me like a dream. This dress is just so easy for me to style in different ways. I absolutely love putting on a top over it and making it kind of look like a really long skirt. It makes it also really easy to style it for different weather. I have worn this in the winter with stockings and like a long sleeve or turtleneck, even a cropped sweater over it, and I still think it just looks so cute. This dress also carries a lot of sentimental value for me because I've had it for so long. It's probably one of the clothing items that I have had the longest. There's probably some that I've had longer, but this one just stands out to me. My partner also said that this was the dress that I was wearing when he fell in love with me. So it does have that sentimental link to it as well. I just absolutely love this dress. As for the second item, we are going to go a little bit outside of the bounds of clothing to a pair of shoes that are probably a bit of a vanilla pair of shoes, but I love them. I love them. I don't know how you couldn't. That's why they're so popular, because they are fantastic. and that would be my 8 eyelet. I believe that they're 1460 Doc Martens. They're just the normal boots. They're the first pair of Doc Martens that I got, or Doc Martens, however you want to say the brand name. To me, a lot of the times they're just Docs, so you get the idea. These pair of shoes I got for Christmas from my parents, I believe in 2017, and there was a period of my life when I started my first job that I literally wore them every single day into the office. They were the shoe that I wore. They were just my shoe. I love them. I love them so much. They are very worn, and you can absolutely tell that by their appearance, but that makes them feel so well loved as well. I've shined these a bunch of times. I've washed the laces. These things have been caked in mud from music festivals that I've gone to, and I mean caked in mud, where I've had to take a toothbrush to try and get the mud out of the seams, and it worked. I got the stitching around the sole back to being the iconic yellow color, and they have given me many more years after that music festival experience, and I think that they're going to give me many more as well. These shoes are basically molded to my feet at this point, which is why I think that they're one of my favorites, just because they've become so comfortable. The leather softened quite a bit, and they are just perfect. They give me good ankle support as well, which I find to be kind of important, because I have a few times stumbled over a sidewalk and almost twisted my ankle or just bent it in a funny way. So these are also really important to me for nights out, for instance. When you're walking around a lot, also very important. Yeah, I just love them. They're so easy to style as well. I have styled them with absolutely everything, from dresses, jeans, slightly more like feminine outfits that I really like to pair them with. I also like to pair my platform Jadens similarly, where you pair it with like a really feminine item and then these a little bit harder combat looking boots. I really like that contrast. It is one of my favorite kind of themes to style around as well. I've worn them countless times with the first item that I mentioned, that black vintage dress. So these docs were bought new, but I think that they are going to have a really good lifetime, to the point where it doesn't really matter if they were bought new or not. They're going to be worn for years. They already have been worn for years, and they're going to be worn for years more. Third item, back to clothing, is basically just an oversized black button-up. This is thrifted Woolworths. Woolworths is a South African brand that does a really high quality grocery store and pretty high quality clothing as well, and they have done that for years. I have literal vintage Woolworths clothing items that I've thrifted as well. This isn't vintage. It's probably actually quite new when I thrifted it. It has just given me so many options. I love an overshirt, and I only ever wear the shirt as an overshirt. The black is a staple, so easy to style with anything and everything. It's just that little bit of coverage that you need sometimes. Sometimes I feel like a tank top, for instance, might be a little bit too revealing on the day, so I will just put the overshirt on over it. Or it's a little windy in Cape Town, put the overshirt on. It's not, if it's not cold enough for like a real jacket, that overshirt has saved me. And what's nice about it, it's a thin cotton material, so it can be squished up into quite a small ball and fit into a tote, whatever bag that I'm having with me, that I have with me that day. Maybe not my tiny little shoulder purse, it's absolutely not going to fit in there, but any other bag, I feel like it fits in. Yeah, so just a really convenient piece, I think, which also just fits in really well with my staples, and just, yeah, works really well with all the other items I have in my wardrobe, and just complements it really well. It's kind of like a casual piece as well. It's something that I can definitely use to dress something down a little bit, which I also really like to do, like a slightly fancier dress, put on the overshirt, and it just dresses it down a little bit. So really versatile piece that is probably going to get a few more years out of me. Yeah, it's still in fantastic condition, so I don't wash it every time I wear it, just because I don't tend to like sweat directly onto it, if that makes sense. I don't like to wash clothing items that I don't sweat directly onto too often, because that of course does shorten their lifespan if you kind of overwash the items. So this is one of those things that I don't wash every single time I wear. On to item number 4. This one is also a little bit different, and that is the white sock. So I love socks. I think that socks can just bring such a fun element to an outfit. I have for years, actually since university, I have been collecting fun socks. So I have a very large variety of different socks. I have pride flag socks. I have famous artworks on socks. I have, I don't know, so many. A little see-through with fun flowers and designs on them socks. They are just so fun and versatile to add to an otherwise plain outfit of, let's say, jeans, sneakers, and a t-shirt. Add a fun sock, and it just goes to 10 out of 10. But that being said, there's just something about a plain white sock that I love, that I just think goes so well with so many things. A black shoe and a white sock, a white shoe and a white sock. It just works. It just works every single time. And another thing that I find is that white socks are really easy to maintain. So I walk around in my socks a lot at home, so they often do get worn out and dirty at the bottom. I have found easy ways to lighten white socks as well, just kind of get them back to their original crispy white color. They're very easy to sew small holes that kind of form in them, which is, yeah, I do like to mend clothing before I get rid of them and replace them, because more often than not, it's a really teeny tiny little hole that you can very easily just stitch up and continue wearing. The only exception would be if that hole and that stitch ends up in a place that really pushes onto your foot, you know, kind of causing a bit of a century situation, where you have like a seam pushing onto a toe or the top of your foot on a really tight shoe. That's the only time when I'm like, oh, I'm not sure I can wear this anymore. But other than that, there's a lot of times where you can mend the sock in a way that you won't even feel it. So yeah, the white sock. I have recently bought some frilly white socks, which I also really, really love. I think that they look so cute with so many things, with loafers, with my Birkenstocks. So that has been quite a big, I want to say, staple added, that I've added to my wardrobe, is a frilly white sock. Even just a plain white sock, a nice cotton tennis sock. Don't underestimate it, because it just works. So the last clothing item, number 5, that I want to talk about is a fluffy cardigan. I bought this item new as well from a store called Factory, that I believe is a child of the parent company of Cotton On, which is an Australian brand that came into South Africa quite so many years ago, and they've been probably a staple to the South African community for a long time now. And this sweater I just love so much. It is the soft, fluffy material. It has such a beautiful, like, baggy sleeve that just makes it nice and long. I'm quite tall. I have long arms, so I have for many years struggled to find long sleeves that really go like all the way to the end of my arm, never mind being like a little bit too long. And this one is genuinely nice and long. I bought it in a size large, so it's not that oversized for me, and yet it's still like the perfect amount of cozy. It's like a little hug. It's cropped, which I really like as well, which makes it, to me, a little bit easier to style sometimes. I have a bit of a challenge styling longer knitwear. Don't ask me why. I love knitwear, so I have a lot of longer knitwear, but this one just keeps coming back. It's so easy to throw on over something, and it doesn't cover whatever I'm wearing underneath, which I really like as well. So it's just a really easy, cozy piece. just looks nice. It just has such a beautiful silhouette. I've gotten so many compliments on this and people wanting to steal it. I'm like, no, you absolutely cannot. This is one of my favorite pieces. I can't give it up ever. Yeah, so I do think that that's just an example of a fast fashion item that I bought really consciously, because when I bought this item, I was really looking for a black cardigan. I wasn't specifically looking for a fluffy black cardigan. I just stumbled upon this online once and I loved the look of the texture. And I was like, okay, now I have to go buy it. And it stayed with me. It's been probably easily like 3 years now, maybe 4 that I've had it. So it's gonna stay for quite some time, I think, just because it's so good and versatile and comfortable, most importantly, I think. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please leave me a like, a comment, subscribe to my channel. Let me know if there is anything else that you want to see from me in the future. Let me know if you have any questions about these clothing items, any questions about how you can shop a little bit more consciously, and how to really maintain clothing items for longer.